Welcome to Z Multimedia Online. Don't forget to follow us on all our socials on TikTok at Z Multimedia, LinkedIn at Z Multimedia, YouTube, ZTV, IDX, and Facebook at ZFMGH. Do enjoy this video.
From our homes, but we rarely question deeply. We're talking this morning about peak hour transport pricing. Now, fares go up, demand is high, traffic is heavy, and the same journey suddenly costs more than it did a few hours earlier, or even in the morning before you were on your way to work. So the question is simple: is this a survival strategy by transport operators, or a form of unfair exploitation for commuters who have no real choice? And so we're breaking that down from both an economic and a legal perspective with our guest this morning. My guest is Dr. Daniel Anim-Prempeh. He is a lawyer, and he's a private legal practitioner and also an economist. And so he joins me over the phone lines for this conversation. Counsel, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
By God's grace, I'm doing very well.
We thank God. Thanks so much for making time to join us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's get into our conversation. So, of course, we're looking at the economic part and then the legal part. So we'll start with the economic aspect of the whole thing, and then we come down. But first of all, let's begin from, what many of us experienced just a few days ago. Solomon, my colleague, came to share with me how people, how people had to struggle to get cars to their various destinations because prices were up. From your perspective, when people actually get to the bus stop or the bus station and the prices go up suddenly just because it's peak time, what exactly is happening in that moment?
Right. Thank you very much. The general principle is that anytime the transport union intend to increase prices, they have to inform the public so that once the person is leaving home, he's aware that today the price have gone up, and then the person will prepare accordingly. So that is in the spirit of equity and fairness, okay, that ought to be done. Just like you described in the intro, the reality on the ground is that, especially I think Mondays and some other times where during the peak, once the transport owners realize that a lot of people at the bus stop without vehicles around for them to be able to commute to their various destinations and offices, they take advantage of the situation, and in a basic demand sense, once there's a high demand for transport and the supply is less, then they take advantage to increase the fare, which is unfair on the part of commuters, because they ought to have been informed so that they can prepare accordingly. That is one leg of it. There's another leg that normally happens in the evening that we have done. A friend of mine has done some study and informed me accordingly that it is also in the evenings. And if you recall, traffic in Accra is one way. This morning, all of us, we are commuting from our various homes to the Central Business Center, largely.
Yeah.
In the evening, it's the same traffic that goes back home. Now, so in the evening, the traffic is also intense, and then the number of people wanted to commute from the Accra Business Center and the other strategic areas in the city to their various destinations struggle to get vehicles. And transport operators also take advantage to increase the fare. According to him, the reason some of them offered is that some of them, so for instance, let's use an empirical example. Maybe a trotro driver moving from Accra to, let's say, Dodowa. And because he doesn't stay at Dodowa, so when he gets there at that night, he has to come. And when he's returning, okay, in the evening, he will also struggle to get passengers to be able to make up for the fuel consumption. So because of that, they do increase. They put something small on top to be able to accommodate for that loss when they are returning, which in economic sense, it's quite reasonable in that particular respect. But the point is that anytime transport operators wanted to increase the fare, they ought to thing that is also real is that they announce it that look, I am today or in the evening when I'm moving from Spinters to let's say Medina, and the rate is let's say 10 Ghana cedis or whatever, they'll tell you 12 cedis or 15 because if you are ready, you have to and some of these things it's quite unfair to the commuters, to the citizens because the transport owners ought to operate by the set prices that is announced by the union. Okay. But there again, this is just a thing that telling us something that there's a systemic failure in the country in terms of government inability to provide efficient public transport system.
Right. In fact, we're going to come there so that you can break that also down for us. Now, so are you saying that the picker pricing is a rational response to demand and supply? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, certainly so. Because if you observe, and then maybe you can conduct a further research, in the afternoon, where we are all in our offices, a lot of people, those who left home are done, even the traders, come to Accra, Bogoloshi, and the rest, purchase their product and return home. So in the afternoon, you will see less of these transport owners. Okay, so even if you are at the bus stop, they will be insisting, even when you are standing at a distance, they may even presume you wanted to go stop and be calling you. So in the afternoon, they also don't make a lot of sales. So their strategy economically, from economic perspective, is that, look, in the morning, that is where we also get the passengers. So let's deal with them and get our share. In the evening, that is where we get them. In the afternoon, they also can play their role. So from economic perspective, here we are not looking at the legal aspect of it, but from a pure economic perspective, it is quite reasonable. So for example, I operate a shop and I'm selling a particular product and there's a shortage, and I realize that there's a shortage in the system. When you come, I increase the price. So operating purely from the law of demand and supply, that is quite reasonable. But just like you've asked, in terms of the legally, that is not, because there's a set price that you need to operate with, whether the demand is high or not. Once you have increased the price above what has been agreed by the parties, then that becomes an illegality. Okay, so in the realm of the law, then that is an illegality. But from a pure economic perspective, that is reasonable, to say.
Well, from what I know, in a textbook market, higher prices actually attract more supply. Does that actually happen here, or are we dealing with a system where supply is too fixed to respond?
If you look at the scenario, okay, just like you indicated, the basic law of demand is that at a higher price, less is demanded, and at a lower price, more is demanded. But there's an exception to the law. It is a general law.
Okay.
The exception is that if the commodity you are consuming is inelastic, okay, inelastic in the sense that you don't have a substitute. So I am coming from maybe Adenta to Accra, and I need to pick a transport, and you are at the bus stop for the next an hour. No vehicle is coming. One just landed and is saying that, look, let's assume if the price is 15 cedis and he's saying that it's taking, let's say, 18 cedis. You have no choice because you want to arrive on time and transact some business. Okay, so that becomes an exception to the law.
To the law.
Another exception is that probably, you may even have a normal bus that is at the bus stop, but probably this vehicle has come and there's AC inside. It is nice, and you think that, you prefer that one, and the price of that one is higher. So that becomes an exception. In this context, it is because we have less transport, available to commute people at any point in time. And that's if you go to other jurisdictions and other countries, they have the tram running, they have the train supporting before they have the buses to complement that effort. Unfortunately, in this part of our world, it is largely dependent on private transport operators. And that's the reason which it appears. And some of them to also deliberately create the transport owners. The vehicles are there, but they'll tell you they are not going, just to create that demand so that they can take advantage of the situation. Okay, that is also there, that they'll be doing. When they say, we are not going to Accra. We are only going to, let's say, whatever, Medina, or we are not. When they realize that the commuters are anxious and they are willing to pay extra, then they will say, oh, then we can now go. It is unfair, but there again, in a realm of pure economics and business, they wanted to take advantage of the situation and exploit commuters.
Right.
So that is the situation.
Now, you talk about our transport system. So are you saying that it's not an efficient market?
Please come again.
I'm asking if an efficient market, our transport system in Ghana, or maybe in Accra specifically.
Yes. Look, when we are planning a city, you look at where the population is dense and you plan it accordingly. Look, if you recall, when they introduced the Metroman system and the Ayalolo, all in an effort to support the transport system, government effort to support, but it has not been that efficient. Okay, it's not been that efficient, so government has to invest more, and then we also find a way of ensuring that they provide transport mechanism that can move on time. In other jurisdictions, they know if you are at the bus stop 6, a bus will be there, you pick it, and by 30 minutes you are at wherever you're going.
Yeah.
But in this instance, we have more private transport operators as against that of the state. Okay, and even what we have, woefully inadequate to complement the effort of the transport owners. So definitely the transport owners will take advantage to and then exploit the citizens. So there again, I would say, without mincing words, that this is a systemic failure over the years. The city is growing, no deliberate plan from government over the years to support commitment and the movement of people from one point and another. And that is the reason why productivity is low. It's another factor. Because a person leaves home, maybe by 6 is at a bus stop, it takes another 1 hour to get a vehicle. Sit in traffic for the next 2 hours or so. By the time you get to work, we are already tired.
Yeah.
Okay. So that early morning energy that will help contribute to productivity, you don't have it. You are running to return very early because you don't want to experience same when you are going home. So you see people leaving offices very early, especially if you go to the ministries at certain hours of the day, except those who are in the private sector, they don't have choice. Okay. So these are systemic issues that ought to be addressed with all the energy and the seriousness that it deserves, okay? And our road network also have to be reconsidered, okay? So these are some of the things that, ought to be done by the state, by the government, okay? And if that is done, private operators, vehicle operators or transport operators will not take undue advantage of people. So apart from the fact that they are paying more, which is another factor, the second issue is have to do with the time lost and the energy and how it affects productivity. When people are going home, you queue at the bus stop for hours before you get a vehicle, okay? And if we have efficient transport system, you don't even when you are driving, you don't need to drive every day to work because you only get to the bus stop, pick a nice public transport and you get home. So energy consumption is reserved. With your limited income, you are able to live, a normal life, and everybody will find. In other jurisdictions, because they have the train system working. I was in Tokyo years ago, and then at the car park, there's no car. There's rather a bicycle park. People drive bicycle to the train station and pick a train and go wherever they go. And I'll be asking them, a car manufacturing country, I've not seen much cars on your street, just like I've seen it in Accra. We don't manufacture any car. Okay, but they have designed the system to be so efficient, to minimize the consumption of fuel. Number two, to increase productivity, to minimize time loss, and also that flexibility. You can move anywhere and come at home and plan your time accordingly. But that is an efficient system that contributes to productivity. Unfortunately, we don't have it here, and this is what we should be thinking as a nation, especially in the capital cities, maybe Accra and then Kumasi, Accra specifically, that is it. The last time I was coming from Adam, we spent so much traffic from Dohwenya Central University area there to the how do you call it, Ashama roundabout, before another one from the Ashama roundabout to Tetekwashi because of the motorway extension. Especially the one from Central University, the Dohwenya Street, intense. Okay, so these are some of the things that ought to be considered, and we should provide alternative, to ensure that will enhance productivity. Okay, so that is what government should be considering as a serious project.
Right.
Okay.
So that is in terms of infrastructure. You also spoke about the vehicles. How about regulations? Do you think that that's also a key constraint?
Look, if you have a regulation, I tell people you can have nice laws, and if you don't take practical steps, the laws will be useless. I mean, quote and unquote. That is it. If you are regulating the sector and there's no alternative to compete with the private sector, you don't have a road network to ensure a smooth movement of people and goods from one point to the other. You have nice law in the paper. I mean, it's useless. I mean, let's be frank with it. So it's about taking practical steps. So if you recall, at the time when President Kufuor introduced this Metro Mass thing, a lot of people hailed it, and there was even a suggestion that a lane, one particular lane, should be reserved for the Metro Mass people. Just like when you go to other jurisdictions, a lane is reserved for these ambulances and the rest for the sake of emergency. And I recall, they have demarcated a lane written bus lane or something like that, but we don't have it. Some of the buses are also old. But recently I've heard that government is making plans or had procure more buses. But it must go with a road network mechanism. Okay, to ensure smooth passage of goods and services. If that is not done, and then in fact productivity will remain low, and then they will say people are not willing. That people are not willing to work because the energy you exert at the bus stop. And unfortunately, that's why our big men, when they are driving the Land Cruisers, I am not against that, but because of the protocol we extend to them, whether there's traffic or not, they find a way of getting to offices on time. But the focus should be on the masses because they largely contribute to overall growth of the economy, and that is what we should be considering. So this topic we are discussing, I think it's a very progressive one, and I'm grateful that you people are analyzing it. And these are some of the things that ought to be big. Because unfortunately, some of them too, when they close again, they don't know what happens in the city. At times, I don't blame them; they don't really know. Yeah. So they are unable to tell whether street lights are working. They are unable to tell how people struggle to get home. So once stations like your type is running this thing, I think it will inform them about the situation, the reality on the ground. And when we are planning, we should plan very well to be. Last I heard from somebody was saying that, Accra is choking the rest, and I laugh. I say it is because of the poor planning. Look, National Development Planning Commission did some work before, and they said that Pram can accommodate about 2 million people more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if it is properly planned. And we can relocate even the ministries. Some of them from here to the Sagam area, the Chopoli area, the new development that can expand that lane, 12 lanes, even if we don't have money to do the train. To the extent that they have a plan to have underground, that area is an airport extension. And on paper is to have an underground train that will connect to Kotoka. So if I land over there, if we are able to do that, I will not even use the road. Underground train that will connect me to Kotoka, and then I'll exit into the city. Nice plans on paper, but it's about execution. Look, even if you look at it, is only Accra Central that is choked. Those who know Accra very well, where I stay, Dodowa and Oyibi straight over there. If it is well planned, can accommodate more people, and we'll have exit routes. So if I am going to Tema, I don't need to drive all the way to, there's another way from Dodowa that you connect to Afienya if you are going to Adam. But it is not good. So anytime I'm going to Adam, you have to drive all the way through Ashama with that traffic or come to Accra and hit the motorway. Okay, but those lanes were there from colonial era. But it's about making sure that they are motorable for people to access that particular road. Okay, and of course, I must recommend government that the work is ongoing. I pray that they must expedite action on our Adenta Dodowa stretch. We pray that they should expedite action so that, of course, there will be free flow of people and goods from there to increase productivity. So these are some of the practical things that ought to be done. So it's not just about the law. I tell people, it's just about the So, for example, if you have law in the books and you don't provide logistics to those who enforce the law, it's just useless having the good law in the books.
Right. Okay. Council, please hold on for me briefly. Let me just announce the lines, and if if anybody wants to join the conversation, they will be able to. Yeah. So if you just tuned in, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. Exactly 32 minutes after 9, and this morning we're talking about peak hour pricing, and we're looking at the legal and economic side of it. My guest is Dr. Daniel Anim-Prempeh. Daniel Anim-Prempeh Esq. He's a legal practitioner and also an economist, and he's helping us have this conversation this morning. You are free to join. Feel free to engage us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we're at ZFMGH, and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Feel free to drop a comment under the live stream. We'll read them for you. Also, you can send us a WhatsApp on 0544 321019. 0544321019. You can also call us on 03039566641, 03039566641, and then we'll give you the opportunity to ask your questions or make your comments this morning. All right, Council, let's continue the conversation. So I think one of the things we've established is that in as much as it looks unfair, it is also, I'm talking about the peak hour pricing, it also makes economic sense for the drivers. At what point does that demand-based pricing cross the line into exploitation?
Yes, to me, it's about the reasonable increase. So, for instance, if a driver, I'm not too familiar with that, so I'm just using a hypothetical situation, maybe from Accra to Kaswa, and they'll take something like, let's say, 12 Ghana cedis, and then during the peak, they are charging 15 cedis. So there's 3 cedis, how do you call it, increment, okay? There again, it depends, okay? Maybe the person is coming from where can he has planned his this thing exactly. So let's say a CD, 2 CDs, maximum 3 CDs is reasonable for an increment in this particular sense, okay? But anything above that, to my mind, I think it's quite unreasonable for them to be able to do that. In fact, the other leg of the argument where I agree with them is that maybe the driver at that time, he doesn't stay at Kaswa. Maybe he stays in Labadi. He sends you to Kaswa, and when he's coming, you will not get any passenger and drive and burn the fuel. So maybe that's a little bit support for them to also be able to accommodate. That's the system. When there's a systemic failure, or when government doesn't have an alternative to support, and people are trying to take advantage, you only apply reasonability. Okay, is it reasonable? The increment, is it reasonable at that time? Okay, if I don't do that, and I'm going to stay 2 hours at a bus stop, and if I'm able to pay 2 cedis more to be able to get to my destination, to me, I think it is quite reasonable. But then again, some of them overly take advantage of the situation, mention an increment that is quite unreasonable, to the extent, even at a point where maybe a passenger who is not aware that he is going to encounter this, some of them they are not reasonable at all. They will not entertain. Like, okay, but once others are paying the increment and this gentleman is saying that, I don't have it, and they should be able to understand. But some of them are not reasonable at all. Once they say they are increasing, if you are not ready, you don't bother. A lot of fights. So in the midst of these things, the yardstick is about reasonability. How reasonable is the increment? I think that is what we should be considering.
I see. So would you also say that the exploitation can be defined, or is defined by the lack of choice on the commuter side?
Definitely so. If there are options, let's assume that. Let me give you a real example. People would prefer to even stand in the metro months and pay the fare, the acceptable fare, to their destination than rather paying more. Okay, but because we don't have alternatives, and mostly in the evening side, this is private transport owners that are readily available for any commuter. Okay, so they study the market, and they take the same people in the same evening, if they get to the bus stop station and then it is only a handful of people, they don't do that. So they only do that when they see a lot of people, and then even once the car is approaching, you see the commuters rushing to that. Then they know, the market is right. Okay, then they take advantage of the situation. So we are in a how do you call it, free market economy, people. But of course, government's role is to regulate the sector, but the effectiveness of that regulation, as I indicated, is dependent on what we are able to provide. Look, let me digress a little bit, and you will appreciate it. Rent issue in Accra. But the rent law, but people are taking 2 years. Even look, if you want to give your landlord a year, guy, to turn it to a tag of war, 2 years minimum. And that is not the position of the law.
Yeah.
3 months is what you say take maximum or so, 6 months, and that ends there. But they are taking 2 years minimum. And it is the reason is because they'll tell you the government doesn't have houses as an alternative. We had that vision, I think, where the state housing, they're supposed to provide affordable housing for people. And now what we are saying affordable housing, and in the word, how affordable is another issue. Okay, for the middle class and the lower to be able to accommodate. So these are some of the things. If you have alternatives, it makes enforcement of the regulation more flexible, because even you don't even need to enforce it. If government house is there and let's say it is more competitive or cheaper than the private, why should I go and rent the private? I mean, as an average person, I won't do that. Okay, but it is because the alternatives are not there. That's the reason which people who have it take advantage, some of them to unreasonable advantage of the people, and becoming it's a very complex issue to deal with until we fix our roads, until the government provides an alternative. Ayalolo is working efficiently, Metromass is working efficiently, and etc. In other jurisdictions, government can also support the private people, the JPRTU, to acquire some buses, okay, and they pay government over time, okay, and then with that, once government is dealing with JPRT with this kind of support, they are able to regulate what their drivers does on the road, And we even have people who are not part of the union. They don't have any station. They operate in the evening and during the peak hours in the day. The private drivers that are not part of the union. So it's even difficult for the union to regulate their conduct. Okay, they come in to take advantage of the situation and charge higher prices and move people from one place to another, and that ends it. You also have certain people, if you leave your product or whatever in that vehicle, it will be very difficult for you to get it. Okay, but mostly those who are in the union, they hardly do that. So I think we should also understand this caveat in the whole discussion. Mostly those who take undue advantage, they call them floating drivers or something. They have a term. They come in the evening, during the morning, peak hours, take advantage, but during the afternoon, you don't see them.
Yeah.
And they don't belong to any union. They are not regulated by the GPRT at various stations.
I see. Let's come to the law. Let's come to the law now. So we know that they are not allowed to adjust fares in real time like that, isn't it?
Yes.
So
okay, so they are operating an illegality, which is a fact, as you indicated. Okay, but even then, do we have a monetary? There was a time that the Ministry of I think Transport or Road and Transport, they used a case study at Ashama also, and then they wanted to enforce some of these things. In fact, unfortunately, some of the drivers that they've seen them operating by the roadside, and they were not part of the union. The union said they don't know them. They are operating on their own, and this is very difficult to track them because the passengers, most of us stand by the roadside. You need a vehicle as early as possible to get you on the station, and they are the type. The GPRC ones, they load at the station. So to the extent that if the traffic is high, you'll see the leadership trying to call people to bring in more vehicles to come and convict. And these people, they are the fast track guys. They come and pick people, they do whatever they like, and it is very difficult to be able to track them. It will take some time, but I believe strongly that to start with, the Metromass or the Ayalolo should be working very well. That is the first thing. And secondly, government should find a way of supporting the GPRTU to own standard buses, so that those regulatory buses on the road will find a way of scrapping them. Then we can now target them. Look, if you see this regulatory vehicle, then you should know that it's not part of the union. So once the union have all these buses with a sticker on it, everybody knows. So those without a special embossment or a sticker, then we know that they're the floating ones, and they can track them and deal with them accordingly.
Right.
So, in fact, when the system is not well structured, a person may be committing an illegality, but you find it difficult to be able to deal with the person, or even arrest the person, because the system has made it fruitful for them to commit that illegality at the blind side of the authorities.
In terms of consumer protection, I'm going to come back to you on this one, and what the government can do. But in terms of consumer protection, do consumers, or commuters, really have any role protection under the laws in such a situation? Can they challenge the fares, practically speaking?
As it stands now, I stand to be corrected, but we don't have any consumer protection law. I learned there's one that they are drafting over the years, but they've not finalized it now. We don't have a law that protects a consumer, like a specific law. Of course, we may have a bit and pieces that FDI, when it moves into the realm of FDI in terms of expired products that are not of a standard, but this unique situation, we don't have the same that protect the consumer.
Oh, really?
Where do you go and even report? Those kind of stuff.
I actually thought I've seen a Consumer Rights and Protection Act some years back. I don't know whether, some time back. I don't know whether it's not a law yet.
No, that's why I say I stand to be corrected, because I know it is not yet a law. Because the last time I even checked with the consumer protection people, this man. The name just escaped me.
No problem.
He has established consumer protection agency that tries to advocate for consumer protection. The last time I checked with them, whether they now have the law to make their work better, they told me, still not there. So I'll verify thereafter, but I'm very sure that we don't have such, law currently working. Yes. That is there. But when it comes to the rent and area there, we have it. The rent control act is there that regulates, those kind of stuff, But we have the FDA Act, the standard authority also have their own that regulates. So that's the reason which you see them in the market whenever they pick an intelligence, A, B, C, D. But I'm not too sure of the Consumer Protection Act.
I see. Okay, so then it means that it's long overdue. Then we need to find a way to bring that, or maybe advocate for that in the coming days, in the coming months.
The name just in Kofi Kapito.
Oh, okay, I know Kofi Kapito.
I've been advocating for. The name just came. I've been advocating. The last time I was in their office and asked them, when they say, it's just still a bill. I've not yet be passed for them to be able to. So even as an agency that he has created, there's no even a law backing him to be able to say, I'm tracking, I've conducted this research, and this ABC, they are doing this, that they can take action and inform the authorities to be able to prosecute whoever is doing ABC. Yes.
I see. All right, let me announce the lines once again. So if you just tuned in, or if you're listening to us, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. This morning we're talking about peak hour pricing, and we're looking at it from two perspectives, the economic and the legal perspective. And my guest is Daniel Anim-Prempeh. He is a legal practitioner and also an economist, and he is helping us have this conversation this morning. You are free to join us. Send us a WhatsApp on 0544-321019. If you have questions or comments, send them to us, 0544-321019. Or you can call us on that same number, or call us on 03039566641, 03039566641. And we're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Feel free to drop a comment under the live stream. We'll read them for you as well. All right, Council, let's continue. Now, you spoke about I said we're going to talk about the government's role in all of this. Do you think that government should step in to control or strictly control the peak hour pricing so that we don't exploit people?
Government can do that, but the practicality is the issue. Because already we know the fare. Every commuter knows the fare, from one point to another. The GPRT are aware, but the implementation is the challenge. So the only way to solve it is that during the peak hours, there should be buses available. When buses are available, it neutralizes any other person that may take advantage of the situation. I mean,
But
that's simplicity.
Doc, I think that only solves one part of the problem, and you are speaking about the other part of it. So when we have the buses available,
Okay.
it solves the demand problem. But when it so happens that now the drivers still have to spend a lot of fuel and all of that because of the traffic situation,
okay,
then it also creates another
Oh, yes. Yes, I get it now. Yes, because during the peak hours, and the person is saying that, oh, maybe if I get to Kasua and I'm coming, I'll not get a passenger. What incentive should be there in terms of policy direction to be able to support them? And then, yes. And that's the reason which, of course, the government must work very hard to improve the economy. So if the prices of spare parts are coming down, the city is doing very well, and the prices of spare parts are coming down, fuel prices are coming down, then, of course, private transport owners may not have that justification. Okay, so and there again, the big man. We are back to the big man, who is the government. So you must ensure that you improve the economy. So once they are making this, fuel prices are coming down, spare parts are coming down. What is your point? You don't have any point. It's just that you want to exploit people. So that's another leg, which is about the sound management of the economy. Okay, and there again, if the economic is good with our limited income, and then, of course, you are able to navigate all this petty expenditure, nobody will complain so much. So there again, it's about the performance of the economy, making sure that I improve the fundamentals in the economy. Fuel prices are coming down, spare parts are coming down. People do not have a justification to do what they are doing. So that is another leg, and I largely agree with you that apart from providing buses and the vehicles, that aspect ought to be looked at, okay? And for government to be able to do that. Now that by God's grace, we have Thor coming back to production, I only pray that it will operate at its full capacity for us to process some of our crude, reserve same, like what other nations are doing, so that when the price at the wet market increases, you release stock to neutralize that's the way that government can subsidize or mitigate high prices, So there's so much on the shoulders of government, and that's the reason which I've been saying that when you've been appointed by His Excellency as a minister, as a CEO of an institution, it is not a reward for your efforts during political campaign. It is for you to support the overall vision of the president to ensure we improve this economy, so that the citizens will benefit. And that should be the philosophy for all government appointees. And if they are able to do that, I think if they are able to have this orientation or this philosophy, it will influence their behavior and their approach to resolving and solving issues for the betterment of the citizens. But we are here to get there. Maybe some of these discussions are very important, and as we collectively discuss it and push it at the throat of policymakers, they will see the wisdom in ensuring that they create an economic environment that will support every pocket, that will support every household and every individual.
I see. All right, Doc, so maybe a few more things and then we can go. Now, more specifically, like I was asking, so are you saying that government cannot control the prices, really? I mean, maybe we can say that around peak hours, you can don't charge more than, say, 50% of what you charge regularly, so that now people are not exploited, because the drivers just mentioned any amount at all that they feel like, sometimes, sure. Yes. So do you think the government can step in there, or what are even the risks of price controls in a system like that, if that is supposed to happen?
Oh, of course, government can do that, but to do that, they need to conduct the kind of research that is informing this discussion, okay, to look at it. And first, you need to scan the environment and know the zoning. That during the peak hours, from Adina to maybe Dodoa is huge. From Spintex to Kasua, or from 37 to Kasua, okay, so you know the area. Then you come out, so you know how much they have been charging and exploiting people. And then you come out with that. Oh, during peak hours, we understand the situation. Government is working very hard to fix the situation. Okay, so during peak hours, if you are moving from, let's say, 37 to Medina, you can only charge extra a CD or 1 CD 50 pesos or 80 pesos or something like that. Then they can regulate it. They can do that. Once they do that, passengers will become better informed, okay, and they will resist any attempt from any other private operator that may would like to overly exploit them. I think that should be a genesis. I think I agree with this, your model. Okay, it should be a genesis to curbing the situation once we look at a very holistic and pragmatic solution going into the medium term and long term perspective.
But are there certain models from other countries that you think that we can use to solve this realistically? I don't know if you know any.
Oh yes, the last time I visited Istanbul, Turkey, and I was going to another city, so let me go by road and then see the places and know you cannot just be. Hey, by the time you realize you catch base, you don't see anything, you don't see the beauty of the end. You know, we're there about just 5 of us, and then the bus started moving. Not knowing it moves according to time. So at the bus station, I'm the only one, and if you have only 10 minutes to load, then you move. So as you go along, then you started picking, and another person. So, so at any point in time you get to the bus stop, a bus is there, takes you. So it minimizes the traffic, you know, as you go along. And of course, just like we discussed, there's a certain subsidy that it gives to almost all these drivers. If you are able to buy a certain amount of fuel over a period of time, you know, because everything is computerized, they're able to determine, and you keep the receipt or whatever it is, you enjoy a certain discount when you are buying the next fuel. Okay, so it makes the drivers also to conform to that particular policy. So some of these things are you know, look at our roads. If you feel this morning you want to ride a bicycle from maybe Adenda to Medina, I mean it's highly risky because there's no a lane
for
the short distance. Why should I drive from Adenda to pick a bicycle? And you know, it's a way of minimizing traffic in the city. So we need a holistic approach to our planning mechanism as the people. Okay, but countries have done same. The example I just cited, I also amazed that a country that manufactures cars, Japan, people are riding bicycles. I mean, the professor asked me, "Oh, Dan, do you know how to ride a bicycle?" I laugh. I said, we ride bicycle with skills, so not what we are doing." You know, we rode the bicycle. This is the man that is having Mercedes Benz. I told him, say, drive this fun day when you feel like you wanted to have some small fun. Ride a bicycle to the train station. You park it and you lock your bicycle. You take a train wherever you want to go and come. Efficiency, less fuel consumption, time planning, and then the whole system is moving seamlessly. So a lot the models are there for our big men to consider. Not necessarily for us. I've been saying, no, the last time I traveled with a brother of mine, and then with another colleague, and he said that, "Oh, Charlie, these people should come and do underground trains for us." My brother said that, look, even if they want to come, World Bank wants to come and do this thing for free, he will vehemently oppose it. So we asked why. He said, we need just the surface one. That underground train, we cannot even manage our surface road underground to say there's a light out and we don't have what it takes to be able to manage people who are stuck beneath there. No, you alone will oppose it, and we all laugh. Okay. All that he was trying to say is that let's solve even the basic ones. Then we'll start thinking at the bigger one.
Right.
And that's the reason which means when I heard that there's going to be there's a feasibility for a sky train, I said, why we cannot deal with the surface road?
We are thinking of a sky.
As much as it's a very good thing that within the South region we will be the first people to have it, but let's deal with the basics. Okay.
Right.
So these are my
Council. Thank you very much. Maybe your final. I want you to speak directly to consumers. What can they do in such a situation?
Consumers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you narrowing it to the road and the transport issue?
Yes, the pricing. Yeah, the pricing issue.
The
pick-up pricing. So I want us to look at it from both perspectives that you come from. I know you are straddled in accounts and also law. So in both angles, how can they approach it?
Yes, from the point of consumers, we are always at the receiving end. We are very, very vulnerable. Okay. Probably if you have the time, then you may decide not to board the whole thing. But then again, citizens should be very active in governance. You know, you have announced the line severally. They don't. You see, the same people who are suffering. Though, when you bring third parties to bring a solution, this thing.
Yeah.
Put politics right now. Decide to put some topical politics. You know, your lines will jump, and that's something I've observed in this part of our way. Things that bother us, things that affect us, when the issue is brought to the fore to provide solutions, people don't express any interest. Put in the political thing right now. Say, I'm telling you online, by the time you are done with the program, you need to call people to come and fix your telephone for you. Okay? So our direct active participation, expressing our displeasure, is the way to go. Okay, so that when they even want to do that as a private, they will know that, hey, Charlie, the people are wide, though. Charlie, this thing you think twice. Okay, so to me, these are some of the things that we do. We must be serious about the things that affect our living standards, and we must participate in that process. Topical issues that are of national interest and our personal benefit, we must participate. We don't do that. I'll give you a classic example. I say when we finish this show, maybe tell your product and put some topical that on this, so that you will see how people will be talking about some unnecessary and useless things in this country that we focus more on. And the thing, so the politicians are very much aware. And they operate within that particular space. So we will blame, we will equally blame. As much as we are blaming the system, we will also put a portion of the blame on the citizen. Okay, and then again, let's.
Oops, I think we lost counsel there, unfortunately. But our time is also up. I wish I could connect him, but because of our time, we'll have to wrap up now. But I think it's been a very good conversation looking at exactly the peak hour pricing, whether it's a survival, sorry, whether it's more of a survival strategy for the drivers or an unfair exploitation on behalf of the commuters. And I think it's clear that it is both of them, and there are certain things that we have to do, government, in terms of our systems, our regulations, and all of that, to be able to advance that. Yeah, but that will be all for today. We're back again tomorrow for some more interesting conversations. So please keep listening to Z1.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And also do follow us on all our socials. On TikTok at Z Multimedia, LinkedIn at Z Multimedia, YouTube at ZTV, IDX, and Facebook at ZFMGH.